Hello everyone, you have come to Tata Comic Preview channel. Let read together. Have fun. Yao died, filled with unwillingness and resentment. Zhou looked in the direction where Yao had pointed but did not make any movement. At this moment, a luminous pearl with the color of ice slowly floated up in front of Yao. Zhou raised his hand and grabbed it in his palm. As soon as his hand came in contact with it, a chilly sensation came over him. The chill was bone-piercing. He could feel that if he willed it, the surroundings would turn as cold as winter. So it can control the temperature? If it were on Earth, it'd be like a portable air conditioner. Cultivators were not affected by the changes of the 4 seasons. Only when the temperature was abnormally high or abnormally low would it cause harm. Ding. Obtained the Sea Spirit Pearl. Fusion. Ability, absolute 0 degree. Note, this item has limited energy and can only be used as a forging material. Fusion? Zhou was puzzled. According to the saying, when the universe was formed, heaven and earth were united, there was no difference between heaven and earth because they were originally one. This should be a universe-grade weapon? No matter what, it was definitely a treasure. Moreover, Yao's confidence to challenge was built upon this thing. Absolute 0 degree. This ability was rather good. Even with his karmic fire and supreme mystic power, he could still sense danger from it. If it were another person, even if that person had 5 birth charts, that person would not be Yao's match. As Zhou held the Sea Spirit Pearl, he said with a sigh, "It's a pity that you met me." As soon as he finished speaking, his karmic fire burned Yao's corpse. There was no smoke at all as the karmic fire burned the corpse until there was nothing left. Whoosh. Zhou sensed movement from the east direction of the palace wall. It should be from the disintegration of the ice. He looked over. Something's wrong. He recalled Yao's words before his death and unleashed his grand technique without any hesitation. When he arrived at the corner where he sensed the movement, he could sense a remnant of something. Due to the absolute 0 degree, the temperature was rather low. However, in this little corner, the temperature was on the higher side. It was obvious to him that someone was just here. Zhou turned his head slightly and sent a voice transmission. "I'll be right back. Stay in the palace and don't leave without permission." With that, Zhou disappeared in the direction where the airflow was surging. At the same time, he began to calculate the difference in strength between himself and his enemy. If it was 1,000 realms whirling expert who was stronger than Yao, there would be no need for him or her to run away. Therefore, it was likely that this person was an expert whose strength was roughly around Yao's level. Zhou had the enhanced deadly strike card, even an expert with 8 birth charts was no match for him. However, it would be best if it was someone with less than 5 birth charts. That way, he would be able to gain many merit points. Zhou recalled Yao calling out to someone to save him. Yao must be calling out to this person. Perhaps, the other party had a change of mind because he could sense his dangerous aura. In front of the political announcement hall. Understood. When the disciples from the Evil Sky Pavilion heard Zhou's message, they bowed one after another. At this moment, everything had returned to normal. The sky was as blue as before. The royal palace that had been frozen in ice was restored as well after Zhou's large blue lotus appeared. The royal guards who were frozen solid died, none of them survived. They had long been frozen to death and had no chance of surviving. After witnessing this battle, Yuan'er seemed to have lost the bearing of an emperor. He was cowering in fear. "Teacher, what should we do now?" Wuya said in a low voice, "Now is a good chance for you to take charge of the situation. As long as you don't leave the royal palace, you can seize the authority." "Me?" "Of course," Wuya said, "this is the best opportunity for you to regain control of Great Tang." Upon hearing this, Yuan'er cleared his throat before he said, "Royal guards." Originally, these royal guards were under Xiahou Shang. Now that he was dead, they were like headless flies. When Yuan'er called out to them, they looked at each other in a daze. "Impudent." Yuan'er's voice rose as he said, "Those who disobey will be executed." These words pulled the royal guards back to their senses. They were so engrossed in watching the battle that they had forgotten their positions. In just an instant, they fell to their knees. Long live the emperor! The thousands of commoners fell to their knees as well. Long live the emperor! Even if the civil and military officials had tens of thousands of lives, they knew the situation was irreversible. Therefore, all of them fell to their knees as well. Long live the emperor! The scene was spectacular. Li Yunzhang had imagined this scene countless times. Just like his father, he would govern the country, help the people, and make the world a better place. He would sit on the throne and show his ambition and talent. Now that it became a reality, he could not control his emotions. As a ruler, Li Yunzhang knew he could not be indecisive. He suppressed his excitement and said in a clear voice, "Rise." Everyone slowly rose to their feet. At this moment, a eunuch rushed over and kneeled on the ground before he said, "Your Majesty, the 8 great generals of the 10 Path and the governor request an audience." The 8 great generals and the governor, there were 9 people. Li Yunzhang's heart skipped a beat. Was it a coincidence that these 9 people came when his grandmaster was not around? Si Wuya was the first to speak. "Let them in." "Yes." The eunuch ran out. Li Yunzhang said, "Teacher, what if they lead troops to surround us? What should we do?" Si Wuya said with a smile. "You underestimate the evil sky pavilion." Then, he turned to the side and called out, "Eldest senior brother, second senior brother." Yu Shangrong, who was standing at the southernmost side of the political announcement hall, said, "Seventh junior brother, please speak." The sun illuminated his face that was devoid of expression. "Senior brothers are the strongest among the disciples in the evil sky pavilion. Can I trouble both of you to head to the eastern side of the palace wall to have a look?" Si Wuya asked. Upon hearing this, Conk turned around and glanced at her 2 eldest senior brothers. She recalled her master's words and could not help but clenched her jade-like hands. She could understand her master's words. However, even her incredibly intelligent 7th senior brother seemed to think that way. This could mean she was really weak. Zhenghai said to Yu Shangrong, "Second junior brother, let's see who's faster." Yu Shangrong responded by immediately manifesting his avatar. The golden 9-leaf avatar flashed and flew toward the east. Zhenghai did not lag behind. He manifested his avatar and followed suit. Just like that, the 2 9-leaf golden avatars flew off. Following that, Si Wuya continued to say, "Elder Zhou, Elder Hua, 3rd senior brother, please have a look at the southern palace wall." "No problem." Zhou Yushu lightly pounded the coiling dragon staff on the ground. Her body moved at lightning speed as talismans danced in the air, forming a golden dragon. Hua Wudao looked even more ostentatious. After the square box was reforged by the Sky Research Court, it had acknowledged him as its master. Hua Wudao was even more exaggerated. With the quadrilateral, after being tempered by the Research Heavenly Academy, he acknowledged him as the master again. However, he looked slightly awkward as he flew off on the square box. Upon seeing this, Duanmu Sheng hurriedly picked up his overlord spear and followed the 2 elders. Although Duanmu Sheng did not manifest his avatar, everyone assumed he was a 9-leaf cultivator. They thought it was normal. After all, it was not surprising for large sects to have a few 9-leaf cultivators. 4th senior brother where's 4th senior brother? Si Wuya frowned, looking left and right. He did not even see Mingshi Yin's shadow. It seemed like he had left a long time ago. He coughed awkwardly before he said, "Elder Pan, Elder Lang, I'll have to trouble both of you with the northern palace wall." "No problem." The 2 elders could not help but manifest their avatars. In just an instant, 2 golden 9-leaf avatars appeared and flew off in the northern direction. Everyone understood now that Si Wuya intended to have the evil sky pavilion guard the entire royal palace. At this moment, Si Wuya said, "9th junior sister, little junior sister, just stay in the political announcement hall. The sun is too bright outside." Everyone. Conk bowed and said, "7th senior brother, I'll head toward the west on my own." You want to go? Yes. Seventh senior brother, don't worry, Conk said. I'm a little worried about you going alone. Wuya looked at the empty place where Ming Shirin was standing earlier. Why don't I head west with Miss 10th? Zhenghai Jian held his sword and walked out of the crowd. He flicked his hair theatrically and said, trust me. Wuya nodded. That's fine. I appreciate your outstanding vision, Zhenghai Jian said. Conk glanced at Zhenghai Jian before she shook her head. No need. I'll be fine on my own. As soon as Conk finished speaking, she stomped one foot on the ground. The 9-string zither hummed. Buzz. Soon after that, a 10-leaf red lotus avatar with karmic fire appeared in the sky as music permeated the air. Huh? 10 leaves and the karmic fire? Zhenghai Jian scratched his head in shock and confusion as he watched Conk flying west. At this moment, little Yuan said, get out of the way. Don't block my way. I'm going with Junior's sister. Zhenghai Jian scratched his head again. It seemed like he was a little redundant. When little Yuan rose into the sky, she could only see a speck of red in front of her that disappeared in just a blink of an eye. With the supreme purity jade slip and the cloud-treading boots, she flew off at top speed. Finally, a palace expert rubbed his eyes and asked, how many 9-leaf cultivators are there? I lost count. How should I know? I feel like I'm seeing things. At this moment, Mang Changdong, who was also standing at the political announcement hall, said, Mr. 7th, I'll provide support at the northern wall. Wuya shook his head and said, no, head to the southern wall. Understood. Mang Changdong did not question Wuya's decision. He manifested his avatar and took off to the southern wall without any hesitation. After his time communicating with Wuya when Wuya was still in the Golden Lotus domain, he had come to trust Wuya's judgment. Upon seeing this, Nye Qingyun and Sikong Beichen exchanged a glance. Both of them wanted to head out as well. However, Wuya said, both seniors should stay. Nye Qingyun and Sikong Beichen looked at Wuya and nodded. The external defense was strong enough, so Wuya had to make sure that the internal defense was strong as well. Moreover, he could not trust the 4 Grand Dukes or the palace experts. With 2 mighty 10-leaf experts around, the others would not be able to do anything. Xia Changqiu looked at Zhenghai Jian meaningfully before he said, Wu, Ji Fengxing, both of you have to work hard. Otherwise, you'll be redundant. Understood. The 2 disciples from the Thousand Willows Monastery looked embarrassed. Zhenghai Jian. At this moment, Li Yunjing asked in confusion, Teacher, why are there only 2 9-leaves at the eastern wall? 10-leaf experts were obviously stronger than 9-leaf cultivators after all. Wuya smiled and walked toward the political announcement hall without saying a word. Xia Changqiu said with a smile, you can't judge the evil sky pavilion using common sense. Li Yunjing. After the others entered the political announcement hall, Li Yunjing waved his hand. The eunuch announced in a high-pitched voice, announcing the arrival of General Sun to have an audience with the emperor. Announcing the arrival of General Bai to have an audience with the emperor. Announcing the arrival of General Wu to have an audience with the emperor. Meanwhile, Lu Zhou continued heading east, pursuing the flickering and surging aura. When Lu Zhou flew past the cultivators in the capital, they only felt a slight stirring of the wind and did not feel anything else. Lu Zhou's speed was not slow, it did not take long before he left the capital. Many cultivators slowly approached the collapsed eastern wall to have a look at the situation after the battle. All of them were shocked by the aftermath. Someone muttered, it's enough to be 1,000 realms whirling expert. What need is there for an army? After leaving the capital, Lu Zhou did not continue to give chase. Instead, he came to halt in the air and surveyed his surroundings. He had long withdrawn his avatar and activated the purple glazed ceramic. Under normal circumstances, no one would be able to detect his presence. However, Lu Zhou did not expect he would not be able to catch up to that person despite being able to see his or her flickering aura up ahead during the chase. 3 deadly strike cards cost over 80,000 merit points. Given the current situation, it was likely that the only way to catch up to that person was to use his enhanced deadly strike card. He did not think it was worth it. Zhou fell deep into his thoughts. He closed his eyes, listening to the movements of the wind and the grass in his surroundings. Perhaps, it was due to the upgraded supreme mystic power, his power of hearing seemed to have improved as well. Moreover, it did not consume much of his supreme mystic power. The range of his hearing widened rapidly from a radius of 100 meters, a kilometer, a few kilometers. Whoosh! Soon enough, Zhou heard the unique sound of fluctuation from vitality energy. East? Zhou unleashed his grand technique to chase after that person. If he really still could not catch up, then he would spare that person's life. It was better to be prudent. The power from the Thousand Realms whirling could certainly last for a long time, but the prolonged consumption of energy would be difficult to bear as well. 15 minutes later. Zhou appeared in a forest. This place was rather far from the capital. Soon after, Zhou saw a stone forest within the forest. A giant stone formation? This is somewhat similar to the stone forest that Old Second broke free of previously. Is this how the Black Tower Council keeps track of the birth chart beasts? Needless to say, there was no way Zhou could not leave the formation untouched. Zhou was about to raise his hand to destroy the formation when a slender man dressed in a black robe walked out from behind the huge rock in front of him. Wait. The man's voice was deep. Zhou looked over and slowly asked, "You still dare to come out?" The black-robed cultivator cupped his hands together and said, "I have no ill intentions. You're Yi Yao's helper. How can I spare you?" Zhou raised his hand slightly, a card appeared in his hand. It was precisely this small gesture from Zhou that caused the black-robed cultivator to tremble inwardly. He had no idea why felt this way when there was no fluctuation of energy at all. After a beat, he hurriedly said, "Sir, please wait. It's true that Yi Yao and I belong to the Black Tower Council. However, we have different ideas. I think he deserves to die." Oh? Zhou was puzzled. Although he did not shatter the deadly strike card, he did not put it away. My objective is to look for a friend here. I'm not here to help him. Otherwise, I wouldn't have shown myself, the black-robed cultivator said. Look for a friend? Zhou shook his head. How can I trust you? The black-robed cultivator took off his hood, revealing his half-white hair. My name is Yuan'er. I'm a member of the Black Tower Council. This stone forest formation can conceal one's aura. When Yuan'er walked behind the rock, it was as though he had disappeared into thin air. No aura could be detected at all. After that, he walked out again. At this point, what was the point of hiding? Zhou asked, "Who are you looking for?" His name is Lu Li. He's also a member of the Black Tower Council, Yuan'er replied. Zhou was intrigued. Was there really internal strife in the Black Tower Council? Perhaps that was why Lu Li helped him and lamented about infighting between humans after leaving the Skywheel Rift Valley. Zhou asked skeptically, "You're Lu Li's friend?" Yuan'er nodded and asked, "Do you know Lu Li?" However, before Zhou replied, Yuan'er continued to say, "I've known Lu Li for 1,000 years. We've been collecting life hearts silently over the years. Not long ago, Lu Li disappeared, but his life stone is intact. I pretended to agree to Yi Yao's request to come to the Red Lotus domain. I didn't expect to see a Golden Lotus cultivator in the Red Lotus domain." He paused briefly and looked at Zhou with eyes filled with admiration as he said, "Most importantly, I didn't expect you to be able to withstand the effects of absolute 0 degree.